You know, there are some fascinating things you've spoken about regarding the Kama Sutra. One that really stands out is the importance of kissing, how it plays such a vital role in foreplay and in building intimacy. Could you share some insight on what the Kama Sutra teaches us about kissing? The Kama Sutra actually has a very interesting chapter on kissing. It's written almost like an academic or scientific treatise, very structured, almost like an accountancy ledger. It's a taxonomical list of actions and ideas. In this particular chapter, it mentions about 500 types of kisses. Now, before you get too excited, when I say 500 types, it's not as wild as it sounds. For example, if you turn your head to the left, it's called left side kissing. If you turn your head to the right, it's right side kissing, and so on. That's how it categorizes them. What's also fascinating is that it describes different types of kisses for different occasions and purposes, including one where it tells you what kind of kiss to give your partner if you want an expensive gift. I've always found that incredibly funny. But here's the thing, the Kama Sutra is very prescriptive in the beginning. Like many other ancient Sanskrit texts, it's written in metaphors. Even if you understand Sanskrit perfectly, you still might not understand the deeper meaning because everything is metaphorical. The prescriptive nature was intentional. It created a framework so people had boundaries to work within, which actually allowed them to become more creative. Because if you tell someone, go ahead, do whatever you want, it becomes overwhelming. Most people won't know where to begin. It's like storytelling on stage. The energy is strongest when it's contained. The framework helps you perform better. The Kama Sutra's detailed instructions on kissing, I believe, were designed to help people vary what they did, to bring novelty and freshness into intimacy. For example, it describes specific kisses for specific moments, like when your partner is leaving for a long journey. The idea wasn't just ritualistic. It was to encourage you to try something new and meaningful. But one of my favorite teachings is about anticipation. It says that if it's your first time, or your first time in a long while, or if you're trying to recreate that first time feeling, the kiss should be low on touch. You build up slowly. You start by lightly rubbing your lower lip against your partner's, giving tiny pecks without even holding them. If you're the man, you simply wrap a finger around a small strand of her hair to hold her in place. If you're the woman, you hold just the tip of his collar. The less you do, the greater the anticipation. One of my most memorable dates was over 40 years ago, before I got married. I was in my third year of university. This guy and I sat discussing Immanuel Kant and his philosophy of absolutism for about 3 hours. Every so often, he would lean forward and just brush his lower lip against mine. That was it. I could feel his breath on my face, and it was the most exciting, unforgettable date of my life. That's beautiful. And I completely agree. Anticipation is so important. As humans, we respond deeply to that buildup, whether it's the buildup to orgasm or to emotional intimacy. Unfortunately, modern life has made us lose touch with that. We're always busy, overworked, glued to our phones. But it can be so simple. Just small, mindful gestures can make such a huge difference. Exactly. You've also shared some fascinating content about jewelry and how it was once used to help people find rhythm or cadence during sex. Can you tell us how that connects back to the Kama Sutra? Yes. The Kama Sutra itself, as I mentioned, is a scientific text. It's clinical and precise. It doesn't describe emotions or excitement. But over the 2,000 years since it was written, countless works of Sanskrit and Tamil poetry and plays have been inspired by it. These later works took its vocabulary and teachings and expressed them through metaphor. For example, when describing lovemaking, they didn't say she climbed on top of him. Instead, each position was represented through a piece of jewelry. I discovered this quite by accident while reading a book by Lee Siegel. I was fascinated and started decoding what each piece of jewelry symbolized. At first, I thought it was just a poetic idea, different jewelry for different positions. But I soon realized it was more profound. The way jewelry moved on your body mirrored the way you were meant to move during lovemaking. It was like peeling away layers of meaning, each revelation more beautiful than the last. In ancient India, full nudity wasn't considered erotic. It was seen as pure and innocent. What made it erotic was ornamentation, jewelry, veils, muslin, garlands, or flowers. These enhanced sensuality by defining the body, dividing, outlining, and emphasizing movement. In modern terms, it was almost like biofeedback, real-time awareness of your body's motion and energy. The jewelry's movement gave you cues on rhythm and form. Putting on the jewelry was itself a sensory ritual, a theater of preparation. It helped you mentally and emotionally transition into a sensual space, and physically, it guided your movements. It's such a beautiful concept, a society that didn't just value pleasure, but regarded it as something exquisitely beautiful. Recently, I collaborated with Sean Boudram from LA and a designer named Minezvi, who runs a jewelry brand called Surmi. We actually recreated these traditional designs to help people reconnect with sensuality and pleasure in a joyful, creative way. That's incredible. And I remember you mentioning gungru. Bells used to help maintain rhythm. The idea was that when you moved correctly, the bells wouldn't ring. Is that right? Yes, that was the waistband gungru, meant for when the woman was on top. If you think about how sex is portrayed in porn today, the woman is shown bouncing up and down. That's how it looks on camera. But according to the Kama Sutra, when wearing a jingling girdle, the goal was not to make the bells ring. So instead of focusing on exaggerated motion, the woman focused on slow, circular movements of the hips, back and forth, side to side. So the bells stayed quiet. It became a meditative rhythm, centered on her pleasure. Then there were the long earrings, which were supposed to sway gently. When they moved in sync, you knew the rhythm and pace were right, and they also indicated how far forward to lean. It's such an elegant system, your own jewelry serving as your intimate coach, guiding rhythm and posture. I can't think of anything more beautiful. It really is like having a sensual coach in your bedroom. Exactly. And there's more. The jingling anklets, gungru on the ankles, were used in a variation of the missionary position. The woman would lie beneath her partner, her feet resting on his shoulders. As she moved her legs, lowering and raising one at a time, the bells would jingle, helping maintain rhythm. Beyond rhythm, though, this movement helped her adjust her hips, stay comfortable, and allow deeper, more natural penetration. Such a simple, elegant solution. That's amazing, and so practical. Yes, it really is. Honestly, I think we should bring jewelry back into lovemaking. Everyone should have a starter pack of jewelry, right alongside their box of condoms. I love that idea. It's simple, sensual, and deeply human. Now, there's also mention of using scent in the Kama Sutra. Not modern perfume, but natural fragrance. Could you talk about that? Of course. Again, written in metaphor, it took years to understand. The idea was that every part of the body was perfumed with a different scent. Each area has its own chemistry, so each fragrance interacts differently with the skin. The act of massaging the perfume into the body was itself sensual, but more importantly, it kept you present. Imagine your partner kissing you from head to toe. The first few kisses feel exciting, but after a while, your mind starts wandering to an email you forgot to send or a contract you didn't sign. The different perfumes were designed to pull you back into the moment. Each new scent was a little nudge. Come back. Be here now. It's such a simple, powerful way to maintain mindfulness and deepen intimacy. Yes, we need more mindfulness during sex. Even outside the bedroom, scents are powerful triggers. Actors use them to get into character. Writers, like me, light candles to get into a creative flow. It's the same principle, bringing focus and presence. Exactly. It's so simple, yet so profound. It's not just a technique. It's a way to connect with your own senses, your body, and your partner. If you enjoyed that conversation with Dr. Lisa Sabrina, check out the full episode on the Rena Malik, MD podcast.